Yo, what's goody, what's goody, Latrell in a hoodie, and welcome to another episode of the Brother Next Door podcast, where we talk about finance, personal development, and skills to get you further in life through actionable steps and my own personal experiences. In this episode, we're talking about going deeper. Going deeper. It's kind of just like a revelation I had over the past week of just feeling like I'm not going deeper in the content. I'm doing more passive learning than I am active learning. Besides the last episode was real good. Well, the ego episode was real good, and I felt like that was a lot more active than it was passive. But a lot of other research, as far as school as well, has really just been more so on the passive side. As far as like reading Bible and all that good stuff is been a it's been more active, but just having that revelation, like I think it's very important that we realize when we are being very passive when it comes to learning new information, especially when it's something that we truly do want to learn more about and something that we do care about. So let's get right into it. I mean, I'm not going to give y'all too many strategies or anything like that. It's more so just personal experience and just letting y'all know, like, hey, this is what I realized and just passing it down to y'all. And so, as far as just passive versus active, what is that? When you're passive, you're going through the motions. You're not really taking it seriously. One way somebody put it, you feel kind of drowsy in a sense. Well, yeah, I can understand that, but it's more so like like I said, you just going through the motions. You just want to be done with it, right? Right? Like once you have that feeling, once I have that feeling of, all right, I'm ready to, I'm ready to be done with this. I'm ready to get it over with. Then you're kind of more so on that passive side. You're less focused on the actual content. You're less focused on the actual material and more focused on what you're going to do after the fact. And so I think it's important that we lock in on the subject, the task, or whatever the case may be at hand, and just lock in on that. Understand, okay, what am I trying to get done? What is the goal here? What are we trying to extract from this activity? And then once we have that understanding, once we have that summary, then we take the action of doing that thing. We stay locked in. We remember what we're doing and why we're doing it, what we're doing it for, and then at the end of it, depending on what it is, if it's studying or something like that, then it's like, okay, did I achieve these objectives that I set at the very beginning? Did I learn what I was supposed to learn? Do a review, do flashcards, do whatever works for you, right? But have a beginning point where you set your objectives, and then at the very end, review those objectives and make sure you have it down. A book I'm reading, um, it goes through the Bible, it goes through the 52 most important passages of the Bible, and it gives you the objectives first. It gives you a little essay about that topic, right? And then it goes into some other stuff, and then at the very end, and for the essay part of it, it goes back over the objectives. It's like, okay, it gives you basically a summary. And so it says, if you don't understand, if you don't remember, or the summary is very vague, or, some parts you don't remember, then go back and read the essay again. And so I've started to take that approach and started to, think about how I can apply that in different areas as far as when I'm doing research and as far as when I'm studying. Is like, okay, let me get the objectives first, and then let me go ahead and read or do my research or watch videos or whatever the case may be. That way, especially when you're doing research online, it, you have access to the whole wide web, right? So you start, you know, drifting off to other stuff. You start opening up extra tabs. You start doing this, that, and the third, and then you you 20 tabs deep. At least me, I'm 20 tabs deep in something completely different. For me, it's cars right now, trying to find a car. I'm 20 tabs deep and looking for cars, and I'm over here supposed to be doing research for the podcast or something like that. And so, just like locking in, like, hey, I'm gonna spend an hour, I'm gonna spend 2 hours researching the podcast, doing research for the podcast, doing research for this episode. Once I get done with that, then we can worry about looking at cars. Then we can worry about doing whatever, or I'll see a cool video on YouTube about engineering or something and get distracted with that. And so lock in on, what you want to get done, and then, start doing that. And so what are some different ways that we can lock in, right? First thing we can do to dig deeper in what we're learning and what we're trying to achieve in being an active listener is doing research, right? That's real simple. Do the research, right? Do the research on a specific topic. Remember, if you want to dig deep, you have to narrow in the width. You have to narrow in the width in which you are digging, right? So, for example, podcasting. I want to become a better podcaster. Okay, that's a very wide net, right? What type of podcaster? Do you want to be a solo podcaster? Do you want to be an interviewer type podcaster? Do you want to just tell stories? Do you want to just drop facts on people? Like, what type of, do you want to do history? Like, what type of podcaster are you trying to be really good at? Then once you figure that out, okay, what aspect of podcasting do I want to work on? Do I want to work on the editing? Okay, what part is the editing? And then you just dig deep, deep, deep until you figure out specifically what you want to work on at that point in time, right? And so when I talk about digging deep, excuse me, when I'm talking about digging deep, I'm talking about being very narrow, being very specific in your in the task that you want to accomplish, in the goals that you want to accomplish, right? So first thing is do the research on that specific subject. Take time to think about the information. I know, and this is where passive really comes into play. We'll do all this reading, we'll do all this research, we'll do all this video watching, and we're not taking notes. We're not even thinking about the information or none of that. It's very important that we take the time to sit down, we take the time to watch it, and then not only after we watch it, but we actually think about it. Like, okay, how can this apply in my situation? How does this work for me? How does this apply in other areas, other field, right? And so you want to take the time to really think through the information, right? We want to continue growing. We want to continue developing, especially our brains and all that good stuff. So you have to put your brain to work. Don't just consume without actually taking the mental power to actually understand that information, digest that information, and be able to, teach that information to someone else. So it's crucial that we take that time to really think about what we're reading, think about what we're learning, think about what we're listening to before we just run off with that information. That's a lot. That's a big problem with society. Is people just take the information. They don't even do. They don't even take time to do research. They obviously don't take the time to think about it. They just take that information and run with it. It's like, oh, so and so said this about this person. And it's like, did you do any other research? Did you even validate that that was true? Did you check multiple resources? Like you just heard it from one post, from one person, and just ran with it. And it's like why are we doing that? You know what I'm saying? Like why are we so so quick to run with only one source of information and not even think about the information to think if it even makes logical sense, right? So do your research, take the time to think about it, right? And then talk to others about it, right? Whether they're at the same level as you, below you, above you, whatever the case may be, as far as experience level. Uh, because as you know, having conversations just brings out different ideas, just brings out, more than you possibly could just by yourself, right? Possibly. Some people think better by themselves, but I know for a fact that I think a lot better and, come up with better ideas when I'm bouncing ideas off of other individuals. And so that's just about, going to networking events or, even within your circle, just talking with people about different ideas like, hey, what do you think about this? Or, whatever the case may be, what has your experience been with this? And so just taking that time to really interact with others and just be able to bounce ideas off of each other. That way you're not, once again, just going off that one point of view from that one person that you watch on YouTube, no matter how great they are. Yes, they're great. Yes, they found something that worked for them in their situation. You may not have all the equipment they have. You might not be in the same situation they're in. And so that's why it's crucial to talk with people around you, get different ideas, and be able to Frankenstein different ideas from different people, no matter how great they're doing, no matter how early they got started. Frankenstein these different ideas. That way you can find what works best for you. And then a quote I've been hearing, or what was it called? A thumbnail I saw was stop studying and start learning. And I think that's so true. Just like I said, going back to myself, just doing all this research, doing all this studying is just literally studying, and I will like just not learning as much as I know I can with the information, and just taking the information, putting my own twist to it, and then giving it to you guys, or taking the information and getting ready for this test I got in a week or two is like, nah, like, I have the time now. I got this little break. Let me take the time to really understand this information. Let me take this time to really, digest and then be able to pass it on to you guys and, do well on that test and all these different things. Understand this, what I'm talking about, digging deeper applies in several aspects. It applies in school, it applies when studying for tests, it applies when studying for podcast and becoming a better podcaster or becoming better at whatever field you want to get in. That's why I'm bouncing between different ideas, is because this doesn't apply to just one thing. Like, I don't ever want to just be like, hey, this is exactly what I'm talking about, only like, no, like, this applies to different areas of your life. So now you're able to take this one concept, one idea, be able to do research, right? Think about it for yourself. Think about how it can apply best in your life. Think about how you can be more active when it comes to studying, how you can go deeper in the topics that you're learning about, and, run from there. So don't even just listen to this episode. Go on YouTube, search, digging deeper in topics, search active versus uh, active learning, and different things like the active versus passive learning. Like, do these things that I'm telling you guys, that way you guys can get a better idea for yourself of what works best for you. And so that's really all I have for you guys. Shorter episode today, but I just really wanted to get that out because I've been going through it. Like I said, 2 3 episodes ago, I just, like, school, work, and all this stuff getting to me, and so it's kind of, overflowed into other areas. It overflowed into the studying of the podcast and different stuff like that. And so it was just a realization I had this week, and I thought I'd, share that with y'all. Just be real, be honest, be transparent, just so y'all in the know. Just know, like, hey, this real life right here. My goal is to get y'all from, where y'all at to adulthood, as far as everything that adulthood has to offer. And I'm going through the same process. I'm going through it with y'all, you know what I'm saying? And so I just want to be as transparent, as open as I possibly can. That way y'all know y'all not alone. That way y'all know y'all not going through anything by yourselves. Understand other young folks are going through it too. It may not be exactly how it's going for you, but we all going through it one way or another, and it's just our perspectives of our situations. So take these nuggets, run with them. If you loving the podcast, donate $1, $5, $10 every single month. Give the Helper Brothers out special, HBO special, and we're gonna continue running it up. We gonna get guests on very soon, very very soon. We had some cancellations, some bunch of stuff going on, but we gonna get guests. I got 3 people lined up already, so hopefully we can get those out in December, and have some good quality content for you guys. So y'all stay tuned. Appreciate y'all. Y'all take it easy. Peace.